Okay, so we're live with Matt's back turned to us.
Sorry.
Matt, what's the story of that keyboard behind you?
Which one?
The colorful one.
So I have built several keyboards. Let me get the camera right. Which way? This one.
This one,
so
yeah.
These I built all these. These are all custom built keyboards. So they have different switches in them, linear, tactile, no clicky though, because I would go insane.
Mm-hmm.
But when Madeline was born, when I had my first, there was a lot of downtime because she would sleep a lot, or she'd be napping in the little bassinet in the kitchen. Like I was at the table, and it's like I gotta watch her, but I can't go to sleep because first time parent, you freak out. And so I'm like, all right, well, I hand lubed each switch so they sound amazing, and they're
and they work.
Oh, they work so good.
Okay.
Like the thock on it, they call it the thock, how it goes. Oh, it's just it's so good. But I took the time to hand lube each switch, spring, stem, because I had to watch my baby and I didn't have the brain power to do anything else.
Yeah, when the girls were born, we had we had to wake up every 3 hours because when they came home at first from the NICU, they couldn't cry yet. So their lungs weren't strong enough. So we had to set an alarm every 3 hours to feed them. And we would just watch reruns of Friends. We were not as productive as you. We were just watching everything that is on Netflix.
This was not productive. Okay. This was I just need something brainless to do. And so my wife can sleep and rest because I did nothing, and now she needs to rest. So
Alex, welcome to our Friday stream. Matt and I are professional streamers. When we're not playing Helldivers, we're doing patches for vulnerabilities. Nice. Welcome.
Check this out. And then I got the lights going in the background.
It seems you're having fun here.
Yeah. This is what this is because, you have to have some fun at work. You gotta, I don't know.
Nobody wants to watch another webinar. That's the reality of it. People want to watch, professional Helldivers to streamers vulnerabilities. So we're live on LinkedIn, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Twitch. Before we jump into it, Alex, we were chatting about this a little bit offline. Can you talk a little bit about how Endor Patches sort of came to be? That it started as a hackathon project?
It's a long story actually. I think it started when we started Endor Labs at the very beginning with Dimitri, because when we started these things, we talked about all of the issues there is in the ACA space about reachability and all of these things. And I'm a developer, so I came from the developer engineer way. Hey, fixing all of these things is endless. It takes so much time. I'm done with that and so on. And I was back in the time, what was very interesting, I was working my previous job in one of the projects to update a library. And it was to update a library, and the main reason was to update a library was a security issue. And it's in a big company, it took us 8 months with 4 engineers just to update one library. And I was this doesn't make any sense. This just to update one version of the libraries take 8 months, 4 people. And I was working with this engineer, try to motivate them. Hey, what are we going to do for the next 8 months? Oh, you're going to update your library. It's going to be fun. You'll see. You're going to have a lot of fun in the next 8 months. Your life is going to be great. So, when we start to discuss with Dimitri, with the CTO, I was hey, we have to do something about that, and we have to make it better. And the way we did it better is just to fix the vulnerability. We patched it first, and then we update the library. And we were able to patch it back in the time because we were using Bazel in this company. So we're lucky to be able to have a patch, let's say framework for the entire company to do something like this. So now we started Endor. After that, we first tackle the problem of reachability, to have less noise and to help everybody to have way less ticket, let's say on Jira and so on. And then what is the next step? We're getting like really good now about observability. We know what to show, what to tackle, what to not to tackle. We have like all of these crazy filters and so on. Next step of the story is about like fixing these things. Well, there is like two, let's say, like way to do that. There's like you update the library or you patch it. And I went to the story about like updating this library. Theoretically, I think like, yes, this is the right choice. This is like an engineering dream and everybody should do that. But in reality, it's a lot of work, and company and organizations that don't have the money to invest like this, they don't have like the time to do something like this. So I was like, what can we do on the patching things? And that's where we started like to do these patching things. So we had like our annual hackathon at Endor, and then with like 4 or 5 other people, like, let's try to do that for 3 days. Let's try to see if it's possible to do this type of things and to patch live a library so people doesn't need to update. So during the hackathon, we started with JavaScript. We had like a lot of issues with JavaScript actually when we started today, so it was a lot of fun. And we're like able to do it in 3 days. We patched like a big library. It was like an issue, and it was like a streamless experience to update these things. And then it caught the eyes of like everybody in the company, and then we started to invest in these things, and here we are today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the demo worked on the hackathon, which is really it's all you can it's all you can wish for. But yeah, but now we have customers using it. We had a customer that could potentially get rid of thousands of vulnerabilities, but with a handful of patches. We're hoping to save a few people's holiday with a few patches. Matt, are you nervous doing all of this in front of Alex under Alex's watchful gaze?
All I did for the past hour is do the same thing over and over again, and it works great. And let me show you what happened last week.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Share screen. Share screen, this screen. Okay. I took a screen. I figured it out. I took a screenshot, and I tiled the screenshot. Always a typo, okay? Because my friends in computer science will know it's usually a typo. When I have a problem, oh, I forgot a semicolon. I forgot this. I did that. I forgot to close the bracket. This is supposed to say streaming, not steaming, and I made a steaming pile of mistake. Spelling mistake. That's what was happening last week. So we're gonna do this again. We're gonna exploit it. We're gonna patch it. We're gonna try to exploit it, and it's not gonna exploit. And let's see if it works.
It will work.
It will work. I tried 9 million times. Okay, so I built this already, but Maven CLI package, and it builds just fine, all that good stuff. And again, remember in Artifactory, what I did was typically you'll have this, right? You'll prioritize your Maven remote repo. This is like as if I didn't have patches, right? So pretend that that's not there. I deprioritize that to just show if Maven's going to pull from the Maven central repository, okay?
But don't assume that everybody watching now or watching on demand
was here last week.
Also watched last week. You'll have to explain what you're doing and what you're fixing.
That's a good point. That's
from the beginning, just from
it's not the usual viewers, right? So here's what we're doing. We have this Maven application that has this vulnerability, and what it does is, to simplify it, it can allow for remote code execution or arbitrary code execution. And what we do is we have a patch that backports the fix from a later version. So the thing that we're actually fixing is jackson-databind. Let me zoom this out a teeny bit so we can actually see this. The dependencies, it's this jackson-databind 2910.3. And it has this vulnerability for deserialization where you can essentially put a command after you try to deserialize it, and it'll execute that command. And what we're going to do is open up a website. I think the vulnerability is one of these guys here. Mishandles the interaction between serialization, gadgets, and typing. It's one of these guys here. And so what we'll do is we'll actually exploit this vulnerability and show that it's exploitable. We're going to apply the patch, our Endor patch, that fixes that vulnerability. And we even kind of show that here where we say, okay, you have this patch here that's going to say, okay, what are we actually fixing? And the patch is all available here, and it's going to actually fix that vulnerability. We're going to try to exploit that vulnerability again, and it's not going to work because it'll actually even tell you, due to security reasons, this is not going to be, I'm not going to do this kind of thing. Because if you try to just fix it on your own, what we're showing you is saying, okay, hey, you could go ahead and upgrade and fix the same amount of vulnerabilities, but there's a big breaking change here. This method that is being used in this application, it's being changed. So when you go try to upgrade it and then try to rebuild it, it doesn't build because this method is now being changed. It actually calls out this method in the build output and everything, so which is nice. So what I'm doing now is I built the application. I already scanned it with Endor, and just for showing, we can scan again, and it's going to have the same exact results, of course. And like last week, remember these numbers: 1799. Okay, 17 critical, 99 high vulnerabilities, and that's going to go down pretty drastically here. And the same thing's going to show up here in a second when we go ahead and stitch, scan, boom, 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 1799. Okay. Now, let's exploit it. So I'm going to start the Spring server. We're going to start this JMDI as well. And you can see here, I have it set to open. Like anything after this command, it executes. So I'm going to say, okay, open up endorlabs.com. Okay, I'm going to set that up so that's running. So let me grab this. You need this LDAP address. And then I'm going to do a curl command. I'm going to put that LDAP address in. Okay. And then Endor Labs opens up. So this is an exploitable vulnerability. We just exploited it. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to shut these down.
Can't believe you would use our own website in an exploit.
I mean, you could put whatever, right? I wanted to market our own website. That's the thing.
I appreciate that.
Our own website is pretty sick. It's pretty slick. So anytime I get the chance to show it, I go ahead and show it. So now it's like, oh boy, can't upgrade, but need to fix. I want an Endor patch. Oh, here, Endor. Here's an order for this patch. Thank you very much. Here's your patch. Great. Now in Artifactory, I mean, you could do this just like a one-off if you really wanted to, right? Let's say you're some weird company that has one application. You just have this one patch you just want to implement. You could do it in a one-off by editing your POM, and you're saying, like, you could totally just implement it at like the Java project level if you wanted to. It's typically not how companies work. They typically have a lot, and they store everything in Artifactory or Nexus, whatever repo, right? So I have it set up so that when the application builds now, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to deprioritize this, the Maven Central, where Maven, and once you hit Maven build, it will typically go grab it from just Maven Central, where everybody else gets it from, and pull it on down, right? Publicly available kind of stuff. Instead, I've set up the Endor factory, which houses our patched version of that jackson-databind component. And now I'm going to prioritize that one. So now what happens is, as Maven builds, it's going to see jackson-databind 2910.3, and then it's going to make a decision. It has to make a decision. Do I go get it from Maven Central, or do I go get it from Endor Factory? And because we're prioritizing Endor patch here, this Endor Factory, it's going to make the decision of, oh, let me go get it from Endor Factory. And any time that it hits that jackson-databind 2910.3, it will go ahead and grab it from Endor Factory rather than Maven Central. So I've now prioritized that.
And it's going to be the same version, just with the security fix applied to it.
The backported fix applied, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That we did.
And if we, I think I asked you this before, but if we update anything on the patch, there's some new vulnerability, and we update anything on the patch, would it be a new patch or would it be the same one just automatically updated?
Would we rename it, Alex, or we would just call it Endor Latest, right?
So if you use Endor Latest, it's going to be like Endor Latest. So Endor Latest is going to be like a new latest version. So it's going to have like the new patch for like this new vulnerability we want to fix.
Yeah. So it'll just
it's just the way we resolve that, and later on we will know if it's let's say like the version from the 20th of December, if it's going to be like the version like the 24th of December, and so on and so on. So this Endor Latest is kind of like it's a live living version that's going to evolve every time there's like a new vulnerability discovered in this library.
And anytime you build, and this is typically what happens in an enterprise or company pipeline, it's just going to re-grab that.
It's going
to build it.
You need a little bit of like configuration with JFrog because there's like some caching mechanism.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that the caching mechanism is going to be able to detect this type of things. But yeah, every time the next time is going to build, yes, it's going to grab the latest version. So what it allows for the company and what it allows for Endor to say is like, hey, we have your back now. This library, if we say that we're going to fix like all of the critical and all of the high vulnerability for this library, well, you don't have to think about that. Every time there's like a new one, we have like an SLA and we're going to fix the stuff for you. And you don't need to chase that. It's like the end of the hunt.
Yeah. You don't need to like, some people like hire services and like companies to do this for them. And they like will hire a team to just go ahead and start patching this stuff rather than have their own internal organization do it. It's like, you don't got to hire somebody else, just get this patch kind of thing.
I mean, it's more than that when you think about, right? Let's say you can take like a small library. It's you use like an ACA program. You find this library. If you find this library, you see that there is like a critical one. Then you try to fix that, and you like maybe it's a patch, maybe it's an update, whatever, right? I mean, here it doesn't matter. What you have to do is like an AppSec person. You have to find which repository, which application is using this library. Let's say like in big organization, you end up to have like 100 of repository. So it's a lot of them. Then you have to track, you have to find who are like going to be like the developers who's going to do all of this work. And you find them, you create a lot of, let's say like a process Jira ticket. You have to fix that. You have to convince people you should do that. The priorities, the critical, and so on and so on. It's a lot of friction, I would say, like between different type of organization, and that's why the process is kind of slow to fix this vulnerability. And at the end, for like the developers, well, it's not interesting. For the company, it doesn't bring a lot of, let's say, like business value.
Right.
It's not like fixing the vulnerability is not going to bring more money to the company.
It's not fun.
It's not fun at all. And you do this process, you're done with it, and boom, tomorrow there's a new one. Start again.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone enjoys this type of things, I don't know. I don't know if you will enjoy this,
dude. It's part of the reason I stopped being like, I was a developer for like 6 months, and I'm like, I hate doing this. I hate the fixing vulnerability. I didn't love stand-ups either, to be honest with you. But I was like, I like talking to people too much. So like, but the vulnerabilities part, I'm like, this is crazy, and you're giving me like thousands of these.
I mean, it's crazy. The world is crazy. I mean, it's endless. This thing is endless.
Endless.
And when you see like the number of like CVs that are like found every day, every month, this thing is going to go higher. This problem is going to be like even going to have like a bigger volume every year. Is going to be more and more and more and more. I mean, this cannot scale. Let's call it. I mean, it cannot. The way it's done in the industry right now, it cannot scale right now.
No.
Except if you have a lot of like humans, a lot of like power, a lot of money to spend on this. I mean, at one point, it's not going to scale.
And people like it, which that's like, you gotta have money, people influencing, and like the people want to do this, and like you're not a developer because you want to fix it, you want to build cool stuff. That's like, that's it. And like, dude, I'll never forget getting that first spreadsheet, and there were 1,319 volt CVs, and I'm like, the hell do you want me to do with this? Like, you want me to go through these? No, I'm not.
It's also why we're seeing some CISOs divest from application security. Because you can't fix, you're taking on all these problems that you can't really fix. Because you don't necessarily, as an application security engineer, you don't necessarily have the tools to fix any of this. You need Alex to do it. Right. So
that's the other thing. You gotta have like the brains to do it too. And it's like not easy. This stuff is not easy.
It's not easy, and it's let's say like updating a library, because that's what the industry is asking to do for everyone. And I mean, let's say like in theory, that's the best things you can do. It's complicated. It's there is a lot of risk in that. You know, there's regression, there's performance issues, there's like new bugs involved, there's like breaking change. It's hard. It's a very hard work.
Yeah. I was just doing this while you're talking about that, because
you want me to double check for the typos this time?
No, streaming
That's
patches.
Good. Okay.
Not a big steaming pile of misspelling poop. It's streaming patches.
So for you, in probably like 2 weeks, this is going to disappear. Matt. So you're going to be very happy about that.
Thank God. I mean, like, it's good that you can like see, okay, maybe you don't want every project to do this. So like, it's good to see which projects have that, but yeah, that's nice. It will no longer require that.
Right.
And then this is the other, you mentioned the cache thing. So typically people will just like, okay, maybe some people will like remove the cache and reinstall it because it's a new build. I want to make sure I have the most up-to-date stuff. So what I'm doing here is I'm just simply removing my cache dependencies in my .m2 folder. And if you want to talk about, just ship it in YOLO, it's like, all right, let's just get rid of.
I mean, you're doing the brute force, you know, like people usually they can have like a TTL. There are like different like mechanisms to do that. I think we could have like an entire session to do like how to clean cache with JFrog and so on. I mean,
I know
we are not there for that.
I mean, this is the stuff in you know, that you don't learn in like grad school. I had my freaking master's program. We never touched like JFrog. We never touched any of that kind of stuff. We used Jenkins and stuff, but
was JFrog already?
This was in like 2017, man. I'm not that old. Actually, 2017? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But
so
like,
Matt, where are you now in the process? We know what we want to fix.
Yes.
You set up JFrog.
So now I've prioritized Endor patch, right? So now when we go build right now, it's going to grab it from here instead of Maven Central. Okay. Mm-hmm. I've cleared out my M2 cache because that's typically what you do automatically, and you have it configured in JFrog, all that kind of stuff. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build, and I have this -u here to just like kind of, again, brute force the build to go ahead and grab it, the most updated version. And now what we're doing is we're rebuilding the application with the Endor patch here. And I did not misspell streaming this time. So when we go to rescan, we're going to try to exploit it again. We're going to see that you can't exploit it. And then we'll scan it again to show like, yeah, the patch is actually available. And that's 17. I think when I was doing this earlier, it goes down to like 11 and 29. I think of the new numbers with just this one patch. And Alex, you saw this thread in Slack recently, like one of our customers, they fix with the patches we have available, like 35,000 total vulnerabilities, like 10,000 critical and like 25,000 highs.
That's cool. That's
which is like crazy to me.
And very efficient.
I've never seen I've never seen that happen ever. And I've been doing SCA for like 6 years. And like to say like, oh yeah, if we implement these few patches, I think it was like not even a lot of them. It was like 10 or 12. It's like we'll fix
Yeah.
35,000.
That's the key as well. It's when we tackle the problem at the beginning, like one of like the concern we had was like, yeah, but there is like so many different libraries out there. How are you going to fix all of them? And yeah, that's a very fair question. It's a very, very hard question to answer. But the way we approach that is, well, first of all, if you take a look, actually, everybody is kind of like using the same type of library. Everybody is using Spring.
Yeah.
Everybody is using this jackson-databind you're trying to fix here. Everybody is, I don't know, using protobuf and all of these libraries. So we were able to say like, hey, if we go and fix, let's say like these hundreds of libraries, well, that's going to fix already like more than 90% of the vulnerabilities of people. So the scale is possible. If I take to you like we have to fix like 10,000 library, you'll be like, hey Alex, that's a lot of things to do now. But if you go and you say like you have to fix few hundred of them, it's more like let's say like a human number you can visualize in your head.
Yeah.
And so on. So that's the power of this, is everybody is kind of like using these things. So we can, like when we started these things, we know that we go toward like those versions that everybody using, like Spring and so on, and it's going to fix a crazy amount of vulnerability for them.
Yeah, it's the most popular ones with the most problems. Let's get this started. Let's do the server. So, okay, so now we rebuilt. The patch should be in there, right? So we'll do that. We'll do the same thing we did before. We're going to start the JNDI, and then let's grab this. And then we're going to do curl new address. And you'll see.
Where's my website?
Yeah, you didn't add like one visit number starts for one.
Wait, what's that?
You didn't add, like some good statistics for him for like the number of visits on the website.
One more click.
I know.
How about the click-through rate? I'm actually, I'm at like Endor Labs IP addresses. We actually exclude, mind you.
Okay,
Matt
good.
is probably sitting behind like 5 different VPNs or something. I have no idea who he is.
I think only 2 you get. No. None of this is like nobody can get me. And honestly, even if you do, I'm very boring. You're not gonna find much. All right. So like, look, we tried to exploit this. Prevent it for security reasons. That's our patch. That's the patch. The patch is in. So now you can see no website's been open, nothing like that. We did the same thing, except this time we applied the actual patch itself. And now, illegal type this exact component to deserialize, prevent it for security reasons. So boom, the patch has been implemented. So now when we go ahead and rescan, scan Endor patches demo, that number will go down now. And just like that, or like this.
Can you show in the UI the remediation options?
Yes. These are the 2 remediation options.
Yeah. So one is just if you wanted to update, here are the upgrades that will all cause, like they're all remediation risk high. So what does that mean, that the remediation risk is high?
Something's gonna break. Something's gonna break. We utilize the call graphs that we did for reachability, right? Reachability is what got us here. And what people have been asking in SCA for years and years and years. Nobody could really do it until Endor. So we said, well, let's just use reachability to see what happens if you try to upgrade something. Because that's the next common question is, like, especially as an SA, I'll get asked all the time from customers, okay, that's great. How do you know you're not going to break my code? It's like, well, first, nobody could tell the future, right? You treat every change like you would any other. You test, you make sure everything is working, blah, blah, blah. But let's give you the context of, well, hey, if I go and upgrade this, what could happen? And in here, there is a very clear path to a breaking change, meaning that in version 2.9.10.3, I'm using this method called class name ID resolver init. In 2.17.2, that method that I'm using has been changed very clearly. So this is going to cause a breaking change. Like if I tried to go to 2.17.2 and I went to go rebuild, it wouldn't build. Or if I tried to run it or try to compile it, something like that, it would not compile, would not run, because this method is broken. It's a bug. It could be a bug. It could be anything, right? You were using something before. Now you're not. You were not using something before. Now all of a sudden you are, whatever. But it's been changed. So now this is going to break. So that's why we want to give options to say, okay, instead of going to one of these that's going to break your code, we got a patch that it will not break your code, but we'll actually go ahead and do that. And you can see here, look at this now, 11 critical, 29 high. So now if I just do, refresh here, that's already done.
And that's a scan of that whole project, right?
This whole project, yep,
So
with our patch in.
Yeah. So it's not just vulnerability specific to one package.
No, yeah, this is all, the entirety of it. And like you can even see here, remember it was just jackson-databind. This is the list of the dependencies. So this is all of your dependencies in the project. It's now using that Endor 2024 925 latest instead. So which resulted in, okay, we have this patch here. Now that's implemented. We're good. And we've now patched it. Now, since we have some time, we can fix this. So now it's like, okay, great. The really hard one of, oh, geez, I could upgrade, but that's going to break all my stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Let me do a patch. Thank you, Endor, for the patch. Patch worked great. Thank you. I still have, 6 critical, 51 highs, 23. This is a lot of stuff that's not fun. So right now I'm on 2.1.13 release. I want to do 2.15 release. So what is this? Spring Boot starter app. So what we can actually do is we can do kind of part 2 to this and just fix a ton of stuff. Let me do this. Ready? We're going to improvise a bit. CD or code vuln Spring Boot. No, my Linux stuff has to do that. VS Code probably had to update. Okay, good. Right. Now we're in the project. Now we're in the actual POM. Okay. Slim demo. What was it? Spring Boot? Yeah, it's right there. Right. Just so we're all on the same page here. 2.1.13 release, 2.1.15 release. Okay. 2.1.15 release. Here it is right here. Spring Framework Boot. Now, do I have this in Artifactory? We'll find out. We'll see. But let me check one other quick thing here. Let me check one quick thing, make sure.
What are you hiding from us, Matt?
Nope. Somebody slacked me. I was making sure it wasn't one of you guys saying, don't do it. No.
Just cut it out, man. Come on.
All right, ready? Yeah. Where the heck is my... There we go. And one quick thing I should do before jumping in here is I should show the logs and stuff of that patch. So this is the other thing. It's like, okay, why should I trust you guys? Like, you're making this patch. I have no idea what the hell's in it. Well, you do. Number one, we'll show you the actual patch itself, what it is. But also, we'll give you the build logs, the test logs, the reproducible builds. So we show you everything about, hey, we've tested this. We've actually gone through all this. Poor Alex here has meticulously gone through each and every single one to make sure every line of code, to make sure. There's, of course, some automation. But Alex, I don't know if you want to talk about like how we, like the process of what we do. Like, I know we utilize Bazel. I know like we do all this great stuff, but I don't know if you want to touch upon like, okay, the way we go and do this, without giving away too many secrets to our competitors.
So
Kind of that process.
So there are like multiple things. So can you go back to the UI?
Yeah.
So the first one is like people can go and they can look to the build, test, deploy logs and see what was, if they want to see the logs. I mean, it's there, it's public and so on. And then we give like the reproducer build. So what is the reproducer build? It's like if you download, it's like, I mean, you can download this thing. It's going to be like a tar file or a zip file. You are going to get actually the patch and the basal rules to build the jar yourself.
Yeah.
So you can do it by yourself. You can check and redo it and build by yourself again what you just like has done from like the artifact from Endor. So you can do that if you want. So it's like one of the concern, it's like one of the what we tackle here is like a lot of like, let's say like a security engineers are like, hey, I want to trust you, Bill. Like when you're working on the open source project, I can go to the open source one and I can rebuild these things on my own if I want. Well, we're giving like the same capabilities here. It's like, hey, we don't hide anything from you. You want to rebuild it? Rebuild it. It's completely fine. The second thing is like what is very important with our patch. It's our patch, as you said, only fix the vulnerability. So we don't add more stuff in those patch than what is needed to fix the vulnerability. So sometimes, it's when you update from like one version to another version, it can be like a lot of commits between, a lot of like other features. We remove all of these things. So we really make sure that, hey, there is only the vulnerability fix. So there is like a really like low chance that something else is going to be impacted on your application. Then we use our own actually tooling. So that's what is very interesting. It's like we're like able to use our own tooling, like about call graph and so on, to do some, I would say, like vetting on the patch. So for example, we're checking that there is no breaking change on our patch using our own tool, because that's what one of the core things is. Hey, if you use our patch, one of the key things is like you will not get any breaking change. Your application is going to build the same way. Your application is going to run the same way. So we have to ensure that we add code. Every time you add code, there is a risk that you're going to modify something. And actually, we modify something because we modify that you cannot exploit the things. Just we modify something that you didn't want. So it's that's a good thing that we modify. But we're using, like this static analytic, like, hey, we don't have like breaking change. And we're using also this static analytic to be able to say like, did you add like more stuff that is what is needed from like the vulnerability? So we're like able to catch all of these things. So everything is. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
No, I was like, so all of these things are kind of. I mean, there is like a CI and a process and all of these things, but we have to remember at the end there is always human is going to be involved. Like to review this code, and there's only like 2 humans, actually 2 persons, is going to involve to review, to double check that everything is fine in this patch, because it's a very serious thing. It's a very core thing. So we have to be like really careful about like what's going on this one.
Yeah, we're not just blindly copying and pasting the fix from a future version.
No, we are not.
There's a lot more work that goes. This is why. I'll never forget this in Greece when we were talking about, magic patches. It's not magic. And you were like, it's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work. Yes. It's
one of the things also where someone on one stream asked us, is it AI? Are you using AI to do this? And Darren was like, no, or Jamie, I don't remember who was like, no, it's not AI. It's
no, we don't have
hard work.
Yeah, we don't have AI, and we tried. And here's the thing is, when you fix those vulnerability, well, it's really what I mean. It's really black and white. There is no like a middle, like a nuance, like it's going to work. No, I mean, is it fixed? It's like sometimes when you do coding, it's going to work this way or this way or this way. Well, usually to fix a vulnerability, you only have like one way. And AI, I mean, because of like all of this nuance and results are not like reproducible and not predictable, it can be like very hard to do that through the AI. So it's more like using our own tool and our own data that we are able to generate those patch automatically.
This is why I'm biased. This is why our product's so good. It's because we dog food like everything. We dog food our own product. I use it whenever I'm making a script that a customer wants or something like that. All the time I use it to find dependencies. I need to build something quick. Oh, there's got to be a dependency that does this. Let me just look it up. Or using call graphs to figure something out. Like, I don't know. That speaks testament, if you ask me. But again, I'm a little biased, you know. There's a little bit. But yeah, everything is here accessible to the customer to be like, okay, how can I trust you guys? How do I know it's going to actually work? Everything's here.
Yep.
Very transparent about it. Very open about it. But
okay. Do you have time to do the other fix, or are we wrapping up, Matt?
Let's try it. What did I say? 15? That's a fix, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens. Oh, hang on.
Uncharted territory.
Uncharted. That's the right one, right? Yep. I'm in the parent POM 215 org spring framework.boot. Let's just double check here to make sure. Org spring framework boot starter web, but that should come from Spring. Yeah, starter parent. Okay, good. Make sure starter. Yep, starter web. That's gonna infer it or bring it down, inherit it from here. So let's try it. Let's see what happens. You think this will work, Alex? Did I do this right?
Sometimes it does. Right? Sometimes it does not. I mean, it's always a surprise.
Good. No, it's building, so that's good.
It's building. It's launching the test, so might work. I mean, now two saying it's slow, so
it worked. So let's.
So this was like the more traditional fix, right? Like you looked at what's the path of least resistance on Endor Labs, what's the upgrade that you can do that will break the least amount of stuff, and you just did that upgrade, right?
All I did was we said, hey, this is a low remediation risk. You're going to fix 81 fixed findings with this fix.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Go to version 2.1.15.release. And all I did was in my pom.xml, found the component. This had 2.1.13 release, changed the 3 to a 5. And now if I go and I rebuilt it, it worked. No breaking change here at all.
Mm-hmm.
So now if I do Endor CTL scan -n, what I was going to do is like a quick Maven dependency tree, but just to see that it did get, in fact, installed. But you can see here, like if I didn't make that change, none of these other versions would have been installed. You could see a bunch of stuff, like new things getting installed. So it looks as though it worked nicely because we did the other one. So let's see. Dependency analysis, stitching the call graph, finding dependencies, scores, good. Going through my custom finding policies. And just like that, more were fixed. A couple mediums, some lows, but more were indeed fixed. So that's good.
Nice.
Oops, wrong window. Where'd you go?
Okay, so successes on all fronts.
They actually did it because we had like I'm just questioning myself right now. Is it because we had like 11 before critical, right, as well?
Let me see here. It definitely fixed highs.
Well, I don't remember. Was it fixing some? Can you?
Yeah. Let's see.
Because there was like 6 critical to fix. Let's see
Yeah.
if this one will stay there.
Oh, I bet you I know why. Because this remediations page, this gets updated daily unless you force it. Because if we try to do this like every single hour or something like that, that would just be way too much data. So I'll bet you some of these vulnerabilities also got fixed with our patch as well. That's my guess. I'm just guessing here. So I want to trigger upgrade impact analysis again. We're going to do, what was it? Endor patches demo. Endor patches demo. So now this is going to essentially refresh this page. And we'll see. Because I'll bet you some of this information changed after we applied this patch. Which normally this just updates once a day, right, Alex? Is what this
right a day. It's every 24 hours we're running these things.
Yeah, once every 24 hours. Kind of like our vulnerability. It's like our vulnerability data, right? Which makes sense. We refresh it once every day just because there's so much data out there, but you can force a refresh, which is what I'm doing here. This may take a minute or two. But that's pretty good. And then the other thing I did, I should probably clear that out. I want to do MVN dependency tree. Let's see. 215 release. So yeah, probably have to refresh the vulnerability data. We'll give that a second. Clear that out. Clear this out. Where did yeah, org string framework boot starter 215. Oh, and I also didn't clear out my cache. That's the other big thing. I will bet you anything. Ready? Repository. So it installed, but the way we have our Artifactory set up, it's going to prioritize the cache. So I will guarantee you that was the issue. See, now it's grabbing this 215. And then we'll scan again.
It's almost like you do this for a living.
You know, it's all these nuances with like all the stuff that's like, this is the tough thing about being an SA and the fun thing actually too. Everybody's environment is so different. Everybody just has, you could have two customers. They have Java, they write in Java, they have Artifactory, and they have Jenkins, let's just say. Well, customer one has Artifactory set up different than customer two, and customer two has Jenkins set up differently than customer one, and customer one uses, you know, Java 8 instead of 17 for whatever reason, and it's just all these different, like, oh, they have the same tech stack, it's easy, just do the same thing. No, everybody has everything set up so differently that like you got to think about all this other stuff that goes along with it, and it's tough, it's hard.
I'm going to clip that into Matt complains. About
Matt complains. Yeah, I'm a grumpy old man, Matt. Yeah. No, it's it's a hard part, but it's also an interesting part. I mean, I'll plug being an SA. Anybody who wants to be a solutions architect or engineer, you should absolutely do it because all you do is learn. Like, so if you like learning, this is the best job on the planet because you just learn so much about the industry, what other people are doing and everything like that. And like every day is different. That's why it's so fun. Like every day is so different because you never know what you're going to run into. So yeah, I complain, but it's also, you know.
I saw you were not old, Matt.
I feel old. Like... I feel old.
I have not, you know, old is not an age. It's like a state of mind.
It's a state of mind.
It's not like this, you know.
You age into your personality. That's the way it goes.
What is it? Yeah, I have an old soul. That's what it is. Sometimes our youngest is 1.5. She has an old soul sometimes. Because I'll be like, you know, Saturday mornings are mine and my youngest mornings because my oldest goes to dance with my wife, with mom. And so I'm like, okay, Emily, do you want to go to the store? Like I try to like get her out of the house. Like let's go somewhere. No, I don't want to
read my stories.
Yeah, I just want to read my stories. Blah blah blah. Let's look at this. Ready? This rescan. Let's see. 211 dependencies. Let's look at dependencies. What was it? Starter or spring? Spring 215 release. Yeah, no findings. Data rest. That's good. So it probably just needs a chance to like catch up a little bit. Starter web. Yeah.
Okay. Also, we good.
That's good.
It's my eyes. Probably.
Yep.
My eyes too. Yeah. I wonder why that number didn't go down, but it's definitely fixed. It's 100% fixed. Spring app. Requested version. We got that requested version. Spring web release. Auto boot config 215 release. 215 release. So this probably just needs a minute to catch up. That's all that is. But it is 100% Spring Boot starter release. There we go. Boom.
So when's our next stream, Matt? I think we're probably off next week.
Yeah, I am. I'm off next week. Are you
back January 3rd?
I am back January 3rd. I am. Let me pull my calendar.
It'll be just you and me. The whole industry is still going to be off. You and I are going to be here just fixing stuff.
Yeah, I'll be back January 3rd. We could do that.
That is really an opportunity to just play Helldivers because, no one's going to be on.
Yeah, I keep saying, we interview a candidate. We should throw them in Helldivers and we should all play, see how they perform under pressure.
Do they show leadership skills?
Okay, it's your mission. Call it,
So a few other resources we have available on this that people should be aware of. If you go to our website, our wonderful website that Matt showed us earlier, so under solution briefs, there is a white paper that basically shows step-by-step process on how to use and/or patches. There's also a couple of blog posts on it, but that is really the best resource on exactly how it works. And also on our YouTube channel, if you go just search for Endor Labs on YouTube, we uploaded a video yesterday as of making this stream that is just a 3-minute demo on how Endor patches work. So basically, if you take this stream and you cut out all of us just chatting about whatever, you'll get 3 minutes of the actual useful content that you're looking for. So we have a video of that up on the YouTube channel. Cool. Alex, thanks for joining. You will now be forced to join us every single Friday between now and the end of time.
I will be on vacation the next one, like everybody else.
What time is it for you, Alex?
8:53 a.m.
Okay. All right.
8:53 a.m. I will be the last one to go to the next tier, probably.
All right, good. Yeah. We're not going to do next week. Nobody's around next week.
Yeah.
We got to think it. We'll just fix another project. We'll just go into another project.
We can also do other things, right? I mean, we've called the series Remediate this, right? But but we can do other things.
We could do some container stuff, maybe. We could do some SaaS stuff. Like, I haven't fixed like SaaS stuff in a while, so.
I love that you signed yourself up to that.
I do this. My mom called me because stuff would just happen to me as a kid. So she'd call me the S magnet. I'm not going to curse on the stream, but like the S magnet. And it's like I do it to myself. Is what it is.
So I wish everybody a great holiday break. I hope that no one's holiday is going to be ruined. If it is, Endor Patches here for the rescue. Just call Alex.
Call me, yeah.
Call Alex.
1-800 Endor Patches. It just goes directly to Alex's cell. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Appreciate it. Have a great holiday.